Welcome to the Tibetan Buddhist Society, Session 2 Introductory Series, based on the book by Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden, Meditations on the Path to Enlightenment. Last week we spoke about bodhicitta and equanimity and explored mother sentient beings a little further. This week we're going to discuss the 7-point cause and effect and giving and taking. Discussions on these valuable subjects and meditation generate an enormous amount of merit. So recapping on last week, we discussed ordinary compassion, which is the wishing to remove the suffering of the sentient beings that you currently perceive, and great compassion is the wish to remove the suffering of all living beings without exception. And bodhicitta means for the sake of others, wishing to attain complete, perfect enlightenment. Equanimity is also a very important mind in the development of bodhicitta. Last week we analysed how we categorise beings as friends, enemies or strangers, and how we relate to each group. We looked at the ever-changing nature of relationships, friends one moment, enemies or strangers the next. A dear friend may move overseas and years later will become a stranger. An enemy may become your boss and then a friend. But when we analyse deeply, we found that all beings are no different from us. Every living being is equal in wishing for a happiness which is without suffering. In the meditation, we merged all into one heart and mind. So what causes us to categorise people into friends, enemies and strangers? Well, this comes from not knowing our true nature of reality and the effects of our actions, which result in karma. Some of these karmic imprints are from previous lives and reinforced in this present life through conditioning. This starts fairly early in life. Just looking at how it affects toddlers, David Eagleman conducted an experiment with 11-month-old babies accompanied by a parent. They were shown a puppet show. In the middle was a duck and a box. To the left was a bear in a white scarf, and to the right was a bear in a green scarf. The duck was attempting to open the lid of the box and was struggling. The bear on the left helped the duck. However, the bear on the right was less agreeable and impeding the duck from opening the box. That bear slammed the box down. After the experiment, or the puppet show, each 11-month-old baby was given the option of choosing the bear with the white scarf or the bear with the green scarf. They were held in front of the child. A very large majority of the toddlers chose the bear that was helpful to the duck. So at an early age, we develop categorising. Categorising people predict our level and intensity of our caring, empathy, compassion and kindness, the amount of time we spend with them, the money we invest in each group, and how we associate more with friends, family. Sometimes we associate with groups based on intelligence, race, social status, political party, wealth and religions. We also looked at outgroups. Strangers and enemies are in those groups. So science is also looking at how we show empathy and caring. And this forms part of an experiment that was conducted in Holland. They had 130 participants. One by one was placed in an MRI machine and shown a picture of a syringe needle pushed in a hand to measure pain reaction. Each participant displayed a high level of response to pain when they saw the syringe in the hand. Now the next level experiment was quite interesting. every participant was shown 6 pictures of hands, but this time each picture was labelled by a religion: Hindu, atheist, Scientologist, Christian, Jewish and Muslim. They did this to measure the pain reaction to the label religion of participants of the same religion, what they call in-groups. They found participants had a high neural response to pain towards hands in their group and a flat response to other religions, out-groups. But this is not about religion. It's more of in-groups and out-groups. Is this indicative of all 7 billion sentient beings? No, but it highlights a type of experiment that can be used to measure the responses of compassionate meditators. His Holiness the Dalai Lama is supporting the science of the minds, or the meetings of the mind, inviting scientists to measure the neural activity of monks during meditation. So the Buddha taught equanimity 2,500 years ago, and this amazing altruistic quality was designed to develop our bodhicitta. Without equanimity, you are unable to develop bodhicitta. The teachings explain that our perceived labelling of self and others are the causes of our suffering and the harm we cause others. Bodhicitta is an antidote to self-cherishing. We can therefore cultivate loving kindness to all sentient beings without exception. We look at this by an example in the book of aged care residents, 30, each with a form of cancer, each 100 years old. Would you discriminate as to whom was worthy of your love and compassion and who was not? Another example is during severe floods. During severe floods, when emergency crews fly over flooded towns looking for survivors, that is, people on rooftops, car roofs, makeshift boats, people on limbs of trees and livestock, there is no discrimination from the rescuer's perspective. From that high altitude, they have single pointed concentration, and every perceived person is a sentient being equal. There is no enemy, friend and stranger in these circumstances. Rescuing them and removing them from danger and suffering is an equal act of compassion. Another example is in a multi-pile car up. Similarly, emergency crew at a multiple car pile-up are trained to find and attend to every person involved, including family, pets, equally. There is no conscious thought of enemy, friend and stranger in those crew members. They attend to and treat everyone, including those that may have caused the accident through any intoxication, drug or speed. Now, going back to the example of aged care, in the height of COVID in Europe, healthcare workers who took oaths of preserving life equally for all were tormented when they had to decide which COVID-19 patients they could treat. Unfortunately, age was often the criterion. Understanding cause and effect, the voices of these healthcare workers were strong and loud about the preventative measures, mask wearing, etc., to avoid suffering. Likewise, the preventative measures from the sickness of cyclical existence of self and all sentient beings is through listening, thinking and meditating on the Buddha's teachings, such as the first dependent link. Removing our ignorance, the relationship between cause and effect and karma, and the confusion as to the reality of things, the real nature of phenomena. The mind exists as a continuum of past, present and future moments of consciousness. We hold from previous lives karma, the effects of our actions or imprints on our mental continuum, which is our subtle and very subtle minds or consciousness. But when things happen to us, when adverse conditions occur, we can utilize those adverse conditions on the path to enlightenment. An example is the Weather Bureau predicted sunny weather. So you went out there and you thought it's a good time to buy something and carried it along, and you're walking in the street with many other people, and all of a sudden a burst of rain occurs. There's unpredicted weather and torrential downpour. You have no umbrella at all. You are cold, and the things that you are holding now become wet and saturated. You're mad and you start blaming the Weather Bureau, and you've lost a beautiful item that's now unusable. But then in that moment, remembering the Dharma, equanimity, bodhicitta, compassion, you understand that you are not the only one who's cold. Look around and see everyone else there. They're cold too. No umbrella, just like you. Wet, just like you. Their items are damaged, just like you. So think for a moment. Think of all the sentient beings, all living beings who are experiencing cold, have no bed, have no food, get saturated in the rain. Then think, this is what it's like to be cold. This is what it's like to be unprepared. Therefore, through this suffering, I shall take on the suffering of all sentient beings. Understanding the true nature of mind, exploring our true nature of mind, which is clear and spacious and knowing. Mind is clear and knowing. True nature exists within us. It's only obscured by our adventitious defilements. Each emotion comes and goes. One moment we are happy, next we are sad. Moment by moment our feelings change. So what are we going to identify ourselves with? A happy person? A sad person? Consciousness is not reliant on the body. Our brain determines the functions of our body. In examples of brain bleeds, we see that patients lose a certain function in their limbs as a result of that bleed. In neurosurgery, we see inspiring patients who are determined to recover. Their purpose is to find their love and their family, to do it for them and for themselves. They love to go back to their families, walk with them, walk with the dog. That is their motivating factor to attain happiness and recovery. Similarly, our minds are currently obscured and filled with thoughts. Pure Buddha nature exists within. Great love and great compassion exists within. Meditation brings us to a place in which we have never really left, a place of our primal awareness. Clouds in the sky are like our thoughts. Sky is vast, spacious, with no solid identity. Nothing exists in the way we normally see things, not solid, not independent. Our true nature is within. Our thoughts are like a projector, frame by frame, projecting out what is in our mind and the karma that we have produced. Aryadeva says in his 400 verses, those of little merit will not have even a suspicion of this Dharma, for even merely the suspicion will shatter cyclic existence. So this week we're exploring a new level mother sentient beings a little further. Remembering kindness of mother sentient beings, repaying kindness, cultivating great love and compassion, and superior intention and bodhicitta. We'll also be discussing giving and taking and meditating on this valuable subject. And giving and taking is a willingness of taking on the suffering of others. These are two latter practices are prerequisites for developing bodhicitta, the only gateway to the Mahayana path and omniscient mind of the Buddha. So we did cover the 4 powers for the development of bodhicitta. So this week we're going to now do a meditation on these 4 powers to embody them within our mind and in our heart. So find yourself in a comfortable position where your back is straight, so the energies will flow freely and your mind aware. We take a deep breath in and a breath out. And we check our posture, our feet on the ground, our legs, our knees, our back, releasing any tightness, relaxing, breathing smoothly and gently. And we focus on the eyes, the shoulders, simultaneously feeling them lower, relaxing. And we bring our mind to our arms, our hands, hands relaxing, our chest, neck, back of the head, top of the head, facial muscles relaxing, forehead relaxing, and finally the eyes, releasing any knots or tightness in the eyes, and relaxing. Relaxing with a calm mind. So visualize in space before you, at about the level of the forehead, a precious throne in the nature of light, supported by 8 mighty lions. On top of the throne is a light-natured lotus flower with petals of various colours, symbolising renunciation. On top of the lotus is a disc-like moon cushion, symbolising bodhicitta motivation. And on top of the moon is a disc-like sun cushion, symbolising wisdom, both in the nature of light. Sitting on these is our kind root guru in the aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha. His body is golden coloured in the nature of light. His right hand rests on his right knee in the earth-touching gesture. His left hand rests in his lap in the gesture of meditative equipoise, and holds a begging bowl filled with nectar. He is wearing the saffron-coloured robes of a monk and has 32 major marks and 80 minor marks of a perfect enlightening being. His body, composed of light, is clear and translucent. He sits in the Vajra posture and emanates countless rays of light in all directions. Establish in your mind that Shakyamuni Buddha is, in nature, your kind root guru or your teacher from previous lives, now taking the appearance of the Buddha. Our guru or past teachers are like the doctor who, through his omniscient mind, knows instantaneously what medicine we need to further our path towards enlightenment. Think also how our guru reflects our own mind as a moon is reflected on the water of a lake. By seeing the guru and Buddha as one entity, you will receive the blessings of a Buddha from your relationships with your guru. Having a clear conviction that your guru is a Buddha, now concentrate single-pointedly on Shakyamuni Buddha as being oneness with your kind root guru. Next, develop a mind of loving devotion by remembering your guru's kindness in showing you the Dharma and gathering you into his circle of Dharma practitioners. Concentrate single-pointedly on the mind of devotion that you have generated and visualize that Guru Shakyamuni blesses you by emanating light and nectar which absorbs through your crown and completely fills you. Your body is now filled with pure white light, and all negative karma built over countless eons are dissolved and leave through the lower parts of your body, and you are purified of all diseases and obscurations. So just settle naturally, be without restriction. Allow the clear light nature of mind to arise, a powerful mind that is clear and knowing, a mind that expands beyond all boundaries and touches the hearts of all sentient beings, past, present and future. A mind that spontaneously and effortlessly benefits others. I, who have had the merit to be born as a precious human and now am listening to the Dharma, will practice bodhicitta and apply the 4 powers so I can be of benefit to all mothers and lead them to happiness, which is without suffering. Contemplating the power of self. Seeking enlightenment by my own power, I am willing to take on the personal responsibility from freeing all living beings from suffering through an attitude of self-reliance and unbreakable confidence. Through the power of others. In seeking enlightenment through the power of others, it is relying on others to gain the proper knowledge of exactly what bodhicitta is and how to cultivate it. Our kind Root Lama, Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden, has clearly written what bodhicitta is and how to cultivate it. I shall therefore study the path to enlightenment by listening, thinking, and meditating on these holy teachings. The power of the cause is being empowered to develop bodhicitta by having accumulated suitable causes in a previous life. I will study and practice bodhicitta, so in future lives I will continue this practice effortlessly. And if I have already created strong karmic causes by having practiced the bodhicitta trainings in a previous life, I will practice enthusiastically until I meet suitable external circumstances that will trigger the latency during the present life, so bodhicitta will arise effortlessly. Shantideva said, Having patience, I should develop enthusiasm, for awakening will dwell only in those who exert themselves, just as there is no moment without wind, so merit does not occur without enthusiasm. And finally, the power of preparation. This refers to generating bodhicitta from having made the necessary preparations, such as perceiving all beings of mother, remembering kindness, repaying kindness, and so forth. May my practice today on the 7 cause and effect be the causes and conditions for I and all sentient beings to attain enlightenment. Allow now the clear nature of mind to show its face, brilliant, clear nature. Just rest on that for a moment. So when you're ready, you may gently open your eyes. So now let's look at an equal attitude toward every living being. An equal attitude toward every living being is required to generate bodhicitta. Meditation on equanimity is a preparation for the first stage of the 7 cause and effect method and is necessary to be able to develop bodhicitta. Meditations on the 7 cause and effect method, we'll explain this a bit further. We'll discuss it before we do another meditation. The first is perceiving all beings as mother, so developing the recognition of all beings having been your mother. Tibetans widely use mother sentient beings, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama said, with constant familiarization, one will be able to utilize the term us towards other sentient beings, so one can embrace all sentient beings within this category of oneself and us. So when we relate to other sentient beings, we do not have the notion of others out there at a distance and unrelated to us. The Tibetan cultural habit of using the expression of mother sentient beings is truly wonderful. The simple act of using that expression on a daily basis really conveys the idea of embracing all beings in this category of us as they relate to oneself. And especially if somebody brought up in this culture and this altruistic conditioning, the cause is that they relate deeply to the sentiment of all sentient beings as mother. Then, if somebody truly embodies that idea, then such activities as killing other sentient beings and causing harm to other beings would be almost impossible, because having internalized that idea. That's His Holiness. So if you look at the Tibetans, they are grown into the culture of rebirth, karma, mother sentient beings. So that's a part of their everyday activity. They say mantras, but when they heard that man landed on the moon, they were absolutely amazed. They could not believe that. Yet part of their culture is rebirth, karma. In the movie 7 Years in Tibet, where Brad Pitt played the role of Enric Arya, there was a scene where Enric was building a movie house for His Holiness. The Tibetans stopped as soon as they saw worms in the earth and refused to continue constructing the moving house. They then called the monks, and the monks then took every worm, blessed them, And in that movie, they did refer to them as Mother Seven sentient beings and then place them back in the earth somewhere else, far away. When Enrique Arya saw this, he went to His Holiness Dalai Lama because he could not understand what they meant, what they were doing. So the 11-year-old Holiness at the time explained to Enrique the teachings of Mother Sentient Beings. And in that moment, Enrique was blessed. The second is remembering kindness, remembering the kindness of this life's mother. The third is repaying kindness, repaying the kindness of the mothers of this and all previous lives. Venerable Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden always talked about repaying kindness, and he said, "For many years I have eaten Australian food, drunk Australian water, had shelter and conditions provided by the Australian people. My activities are to repay the kindness of the Australian people." The fourth is great love, the wish that all living beings, without exception, have happiness and the causes of happiness. The fifth is great compassion, is the wish that all living beings be free from whatever suffering they experience. Great compassion will develop through an awareness of the suffering of living beings. Pure superior intention. Compassion is not the immediate cause of bodhicitta. It is the superlative thought determined to take responsibility to actually liberate living beings. And the seventh is bodhicitta. The final stage is the actual development of bodhicitta. So let's now meditate on the 7 cause and effect method. So find yourself in a comfortable position again with your back straight. Your arms, shoulders relaxed. Your feet comfortable on the ground. Your hands resting. Head slightly tilted forward. You focus on the breath, the gentle, relaxing breath, with the mind aware, a clear, natured mind. And if thoughts should arise, just allow them to drift in and then drift out as you return back to the meditation. Perceiving all beings as mothers. This life, you had a mother, a biological mother. Previous life, you had a mother, and the one before that, and so on. In 100 previous lives, you have had 100 mothers, and each of these have been born somewhere. Because your lives are beginningless, over limitless lives you have had limitless mothers. As the number of living beings is finite, it can be established that all living beings have been your mother at some stage during infinite streams of previous lives. Think. No matter where they have been reborn, what appearances they have now, these beings have loved us in previous lives. take a moment to view all living beings as Mother. Remembering kindness. Remember the kindness of this life's mother or adopted mother and father. They showed us love and compassion. My biological mother carried me for 9 months. She gave up activities so you would be safe. After you were born, your mother or adopted mother, parent, looked after you, feeding and ensuring you were clean at all times, was worried when you became ill, stood by your side watching you with love, played with you, taught you how to say your first words, bought you toys, blankets and clothes as you aged. Now, as an adult, you are totally dependent on others looking after you. Today, as an adult, you rely on many to live and enjoy life. Farmers, supermarkets, making of motor cars, fuel, buildings, school and universities, teachers, banks for loans, clothing companies, restaurants. All these people contribute to your welfare. These people contribute to our existence and enjoyment. Whether consciously or not, living beings support our lives. Think. When we come across an unpleasant person, we remember they used to care and love us in previous lives. Therefore, we practice patience. It is through living beings and because of our compassion for living beings, wishing to be free or free them from suffering and wishing for their happiness, that enlightenment is possible. Without living beings, we cannot attain enlightenment. Shakyamuni himself realized enlightenment by depending on other beings as his object of great love, compassion and patience. Sentient beings and Buddhas are equal in giving rise to the qualities of a Buddha. So in the way we venerate Buddhas, why not also sentient beings? Hold this sense of gratitude for everyone that is contributing to your welfare. Repaying kindness. Recognizing that all sentient beings have been your mother, as this life's mother may become ill, you would help her and be there if she needed help. As she ages, she will suffer, and you are there for her. Like that, all sentient beings also suffer, so somehow you will want to relieve their suffering. At some future time, you will help them to understand the Dharma. Think and concentrate single-pointedly on repaying the kindness of all mother living beings. The fourth stage is great love. Love is the wish for others to have happiness, and great love is the wish for all living beings to have happiness and the causes of happiness. Great love transcends ordinary love as it directly towards the vast expanse of all living beings. Repaying kindness of others, great love will easily come to mind and heart. Think and concentrate on precious great love single-pointedly. The merit and benefits of loving kindness are beyond comprehension. From the precious garland by Nagarjuna, even to offer 3 times every day 300 dishes of food does not match a small part of the merit acquired in one instant of love. The 5th stage, great compassion. From great love comes great compassion. Great love of all sentient beings develops through an awareness of all suffering. All living beings suffer. Those closest to me also suffer, just like me. Everyone ages, everyone becomes sick, and eventually will die, just like me. Mental suffering, sometimes short, sometimes long through life. This is suffering. War and suffering, birds and animals living on or beneath the land, watching out for predators, never really at peace, all suffer. Aquatic animals looking for food, averting being eaten or killed by humans. Crustaceans eaten by others, watching out for predators, eaten by humans. Spiders and snakes hated and repelled by humans. Hot and cold hell realms, suffering. Think, the suffering of all beings appear vividly in my mind. I now wish for all sentient beings to be free of suffering. Reflect on that for a moment. The 6th stage, pure superior intention. Think, to further my development of bodhicitta with great love and compassion, I will personally take on the task to help remove their suffering and bring them happiness. Bodhicitta, the 7th stage. The actual development of bodhicitta. Within your heart, think, bodhicitta is an extraordinary and special mind that altruistically wishes all beings to have enlightenment. Whilst at present I am unable to accomplish my superior intention, I am, however, fully capable of this when I attain enlightenment. There is no goal higher than bodhicitta. Therefore, I am committed and determined to attaining enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Think. The result of bodhicitta is Buddhahood. Buddhahood results in benefiting all sentient beings and myself. I will gravitate from wishing to venturing bodhicitta. Think, I must attain enlightenment in order to benefit all living beings. For that purpose, I will engage in the accumulation of merit and wisdom through the practice of the 6 perfections: generosity, ethics, joyous effort, concentration, and wisdom. Now I dedicate all the merit to myself and all sentient beings. May we quickly attain enlightenment. So when you're ready, you may gently open your eyes. We're now going to discuss meditating on equalizing and exchanging self with others. This involves the extraordinary attitude of being willing to exchange one's own happiness for the suffering of others. This method was a secret practice for a long time. It was passed on only as oral instructions in secret from master to disciple. But the great Kandapa master, Geshe Acharya, changed this because he felt the practice was so precious that it should be composed in a text to ensure it was not lost. Shantideva said, "Those who wish to give protection to both self and other beings should practice the holy secret, the exchanging of self for others." This is a part where we introduce cherishing others rather than cherishing ourselves. Cherishing ourselves has caused an enormous amount of suffering for us and for others. So the ability of taking and giving is not something that is a light practice. It's quite deep and profound. But if you look at our life, shelter, food, place to stay, studying, getting the job, enough money, happy friends and families, entertainment, being esteemed by others, illness and cures, access to medical care, access to mental health care and recreation, is all based on others. On our own, we are unable to survive. With others, we are. So self-cherishing is very widely discussed in the Buddhist text, the Mahayana Buddhist text. So exchanging the attitude of cherishing yourself with the attitude of cherishing others, this is the foundation of this practice and mind training preparation for venturing bodhicitta. Our guru, our teacher, always emphasized that this is mind training. The more familiar we are with this practice, the greater our benefit to others, the greater the energy developed, the greater the motivation into venturing bodhicitta. So Shantideva said, "Whatever suffering there is in this world, all comes from desiring myself to be happy. Whatever joy there is in this world, all comes from desiring others to be happy." If you look at the wars in this country, the suffering that has occurred, the Great War, World War II, Civil War, wars, the Cold War, all the wars in the world, it comes from leaders and countries cherishing self. My country, my territory, my land, But when you wish others to be happy, there is a tremendous joy that emanates in your heart. They say that a bodhisattva, when they hear the word help or someone that needs help, their heart is joyful, their speed imminent, their help spontaneous. So there are benefits of cherishing others. Long life comes from protecting others, compassion that motivates you from cherishing or caring for others. Beauty is the result of patience, and being patient and tolerating others comes from caring and cherishing others. Happiness of mind and health are results of pure morality, not harming others. Moral restraint comes from not wishing to hurt others, and that comes from caring for them or cherishing them in the first place. Wealth comes from generosity, and that comes from cherishing others. A high position results from respect, which is a factor of cherishing others. Consider the following verse from the offering to the Guru. The mind cherishing mothers and securing them in bliss is the gateway to infinite qualities. Seeing this, even should they rise up as enemies, bless me to cherish them more than my life. There is a monk called Lopon Tenzin Namdak Rinpoche. He was imprisoned by the Chinese for 18 years, and in those 18 years he was tortured many times in prison. Upon release, he went to see His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and His Holiness asked him whether he was ever afraid. Lopon La then told His Holiness, "Yes, there was one thing I was afraid of. I was afraid I might lose compassion for the Chinese." Cherishing ourselves has caused us to kill or harm other and create suffering. Just reflect on that for a moment. Just review our lives. How many times today did we put ourselves first? Do we notice when someone's suffering? Did we ask if someone needed help? Did we focus on our own boredom? Did we smile at people walking on the street? Did we think about bodhicitta? Now we're going to discuss taking and giving. taking on suffering of others using the power of the motivating vision of compassion, and giving is giving away your happiness to others using the power of the motivation or the motivating vision of love. Now, this is mind training. And in taking, we reverse our innate trend towards self-cherishing. And in reality, it may be hard, but this is mind trainings. If the Buddhas could have done it, they would have done it by now. So giving is an altruistic heart that is courageous enough to give away all that you have accumulated to others. Our teacher, when he was young, in his biography, states that when he was young, he used to give away his food and clothes to others, and his parents were just dumbfounded on why he did that. But he developed that. He had the bodhicitta from a very young age, of course, developing it in a previous life. So you may ask yourself, why should I take upon myself this additional burden? I have certainly my own suffering. I'm doing my best. Yes, of course. And it's true that you may be experiencing some pain, like if you just contemplate on the suffering. We all have reactions to certain ages of people, a level of people that we know, something that may trigger compassion and pain in our own hearts. We are all human in that way. But if you are suffering and unable to take on the suffering, remember, this is mind training. So the question is, why would we take on somebody else's suffering when our suffering is great as it is? Well, it's explained that the pain you gain by experiencing others' suffering is qualitative different from the pain that you involuntarily experience without any control. So if by deliberately taking on others' pain will help other sentient beings, one should engage with it. The point is that generally we define afflictions as those mental states and emotions by their very arising that afflict us from within. So sharing another's affliction can cause pain within us. But the difference here is in the case of one experiencing one's own suffering and pain, there is a lack of freedom. There is a lack of control, and it's an involuntary experience. Pain just strikes you. Whereas the pain you experience as a result of taking on others' suffering is a voluntary pain that is adopted. It may be a painful experience, but underlying that pain is a real sense of courage and also a real sense of determination. And on top of that, there is no element of loss of freedom that we normally have when we experience our own suffering. And that was His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So what we find here is an amazing state of mind where an individual who takes upon others' pain has tremendous courage, a tremendous will, a tremendous determination, which also gives the individual an ability to make his or her life meaningful, provide a deeper purpose, and provides an opportunity. The sense of happiness with this training is an important factor in the development of bodhicitta. So now we're going to do a brief meditation on giving and taking. So again, find yourself in a comfortable position. And focus on the breath, the gentle rising and falling of the breath. And if thoughts should arise, just gently release those thoughts. Bring the mind back to the object of meditation. Now with a calm, relaxed mind, a spacious mind, you visualize yourself surrounded by all living beings. For a time you reflect on the suffering that they experience. Generate the compassionate wish that they be free from suffering. Then visualize that you actualize this wish in conjunction with your breath. As you breathe in slowly, feel that you are taking away the suffering of all living beings. Visualize that their suffering is drawn from them in the form of black smoke, and that you take this into yourself by breathing it through your nostrils. At your heart, visualize your self-cherishing attitude in the form of a tight rock-like ball. As you breathe in the suffering of living beings in the form of black smoke, see it come down into your chest and completely smash and destroy the rock of self-cherishing at your heart. Again, as you breathe in the suffering of living beings in the form of black smoke, see it come down into your chest and completely smash and destroy the rock of self-cherishing at your heart. Feel that the suffering of living beings and your self-cherishing attitude have been obliterated. Feel that the suffering of living beings and your self-cherishing attitude have been obliterated. So spend a little time in that, the taking of suffering, with the motivating vision of compassion. breathing in black smoke, obliterating the rock in your heart. Now we're going to give away our happiness to others using the power of the motivating vision of love. This time, as you breathe out slowly and smoothly, feel that you are giving away all your happiness, good conditions, realizations, and the merit that you have collected in the past, are collecting now or will collect in the future, as well as all the blessings you have received from Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. All your happiness and all the causes of happiness that you possess are breathed out in the form of white light, which emanates to the beings of all 6 realms of existence, where it transforms into whatever is required by those beings. When the light reaches each realm, it purifies all beings' negative karma and delusion, eliminates their suffering, and gives them unimaginable happiness and bliss. Just focus on that and repeat it. The light also transforms into Dharma texts and Dharma teachers, bringing the light of the Dharma to all living beings. To hungry spirit realms, the light transforms into nectar. The hot hells, the light turns into rain. In the cold hells, the light turns into warm sunlight. In the animal realms, it turns into food and light, eliminating ignorance. In the God and demigod realms, the light transforms into the heavenly pleasures that gods are prone to enjoy. Light transforms more Dharma texts and Dharma teachers to bring the light of the Dharma to all. Mounted on the out-breath, this motivating vision of love brings happiness to all living beings. Finally, concentrate single-pointedly on the thought that now all living beings have received perfect happiness according to their needs, that they have received all realizations, especially the realization of great love. So just reflect on that for a moment. from Nagarjuna's precious garland, as quoted by Geshe Acharya to Geshe Acharya. May their negative fruits ripen upon me, and my positive fruits ripen upon them. Our precious teacher said this is deeper than any high-level practice or Vajra practice, much, much deeper. And the question may arise, as it did by Geshe Acharya, how could this be possible? When we focus on ourselves or cherish ourselves, self-cherishing is the correct translation. Our energy is very contracted. It's very much within our own body. But as we meditate and develop our bodhicitta, through great love, great compassion, equanimity, perceiving all beings as mothers, the 7 cause and effect and taking and giving, just the act of meditating, the venturing meditation on bodhicitta, and the closer we are to our true nature of mind, the spaciousness of our mind, consciousness, our heart, the heart expands beyond this existing body. When we see that we are not inherently existing, dependent by our own side, that when we look at our lives and go back in time, we realize that we are a product of our parents. And this awareness, this expansiveness of the past, the present, and the future has enormous capacity on our mental continuum, enormous space. It is mind training. But a marvelous training. Our teacher once gave us this verse. Therefore, a compassionate Venerable Guru, I seek your blessings so that all the suffering, negativities and obscurations of mother sentient beings will ripen upon me right now, and through my giving my happiness and virtue to others, may all migrating beings be happy. So this really concludes this session. We'd like to finish on 2 levels and recite a confession, or under the Buddhist term, it's just really identifying past lives and self-cherishing under the power of desire, hatred and ignorance, with body, speech and likewise mind. Whatever non-virtues I have committed, I confess them all individually. So that's like a recognition of, due to past lives, we have created lots of non-virtue. We also have created an enormous amount of positive virtue by just being a human being, just being born. It's a very precious life, human being. So we also like to dedicate, by this virtue, may all beings complete the collections of wisdom and merit and attain the two holy bodies arisen from wisdom and merit. May the precious superior mind of bodhicitta be generated in those who have not yet generated it, and not decrease in those who have developed it, but increase continuously. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.